What is up, Empire Builders? Welcome to this video. This video is going to be talking about all the recent revelations of China and how the magical coincidence of this whole NBA comment about free Hong Kong and the Hong Kong protests actually triggering a bunch of people to find out about a UN issue that nobody was really paying attention to until China recently took action on the NBA and some Hong Kong protest stuff. Okay, so I'm actually half tempted to put this on the Jameson Brandon channel because there's been many videos that I talked about how, China has pumped its paper fiat out into the planet, the world, and it owns real assets now. And I get a decent amount of comments where people, yeah, show me the proof, you're full of shit, you're lying, blah, blah, blah. And when you see things like what's happened over the last couple of days, the reaction of the NBA as a whole, the reaction of corporations, gaming corporations, and different corporations that should be acting independently of what China is doing, are all actually acting in alignment with China's talking points and goals, which once again prove that China's hand is deep in the pockets of America. I think that a lot of people just aren't really willing to admit that, whereas I just don't really care. I'm just looking at the data for data's sake. I'm not overly emotional one way or the other, overly emotionally attached one way or the other to if they are or aren't. The data is proof for itself. And so let's go through this. This was an email that we did earlier this week. Got really great feedback from this, so thank you. It starts with, this is right before the U.S. was going to meet with China diplomats, which has been happening over the last couple of days, to talk more about trade negotiations. China's saying one thing, we're never going to fold and budge on these things. U.S. is saying another thing. Trump is tweeting about it all the time. Yes, the Dow moved and markets moved positively because of this trade talk, and Trump is actually supposed to be in those meetings today, so we'll see what comes out of this, okay? But nonetheless, here's some comments that were made just before this. We strongly urge the U.S. to immediately stop irresponsible remarks on the issue of, I don't know how to pronounce this, stop interfering in China's internal affairs and remove relevant Chinese entities from the list of entities as soon as possible. So what's happened is on Monday, the U.S. banned 28 Chinese companies from doing business with American firms without being granted a U.S. government license due to human rights issues. They also put visa restrictions on Chinese officials who were believed to be responsible for or complicit in the detention or abuse of Muslim minority groups in this state in China. So what's basically going on is that, and the UN has been talking about this, there are these re-education camps, aka concentration camps, okay? And I thought we've come a long way since Nazi Germany, but apparently we haven't. They're all over China, and there's estimated to be 1.5 million Muslims in holding right now. And these re-education camps are because China, the mainland China, does not agree with their religion. Now, there has been other things happening in China. We have Christians going missing. We have Christian churches being shut down and burned. So this isn't some brand new thing, by the way. Also, China since 1949 has estimatedly killed 1.2 million Tibetans, which Tibetans are pretty harmless people, right? Most of them are monks. In Tibet, their lives are very simple, right? They're just meditating all day. And apparently, I've heard higher numbers. I've heard 3 million, okay? China Uncensored is a great YouTube channel. I can't talk highly enough about them. If you want to know what's actually going on in the streets of China, they seem to have a really great pulse on that. So go give them a follow. Anyway, somewhere between 1.5 and 3 million, or 1.2 and 3 million Tibetans have gone missing or been killed. Over 6,000 monasteries. Again, pretty innocent thing to just be practicing your religion, right? Tibetans don't have any big dramatic, bad things in their religion, do they? 6,000 monasteries have been destroyed. and thousands, if not more, are still imprisoned. Which, when we look at this piece, it starts to make the whole thing a little bit more twisted. All the way back from June, I've posted this many times. China's harvesting organs from detainees, tribunal concludes. This is part of what's gotten them on these lists with the UN and gotten them in such deep water, is that there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that they've been doing this for a long time. People going missing, people in prison. 90,000, as many as 90,000 transplant operations a year being carried out in China, the tribunal estimated. Record high amounts of healthy organs, black market organs. I mean, come on. It's just crazy when you actually see what's going on, right? And a lot of people don't know. Now let's bring it back to Hong Kong. This protest couldn't have been a better thing, because you got to understand that this all started because they wanted to make an extradition bill. They wanted to pass an extradition bill, law, that said that China would be able to claw back, grab people back from Hong Kong that it deemed on their list for any reason they essentially wanted to, based on their quote-unquote laws. Everyone thinks that this is just and this is a democratic thing to do. But you got to understand that a lot of people flee China that have different political beliefs than mainland China, and they go to Hong Kong. Those are the people that are most at risk here. So anyways, that's how this all started back in June. Protests have gotten more violent. The PLA, People's Liberation Army of China, has been rolled in. They have barracks set up. Remember those videos that I showed where there was all the big trucks rolling down the freeway? Well, now that's been set up and integrated. A lot of what I've been hearing, though, is they aren't actually in the streets. A lot of it is still local Hong Kong authorities, okay? But they are there. The anti-mask law was just rolled out last week, and things hit kind of a crescendo on Friday because Carrie Lam invoked emergency powers, which is curfews and martial law. And so naturally, Friday night, things got real spicy. And they shut down, basically shut down the financial center. The next day, it was still a mess. So Sunday, there was protests again. They were thinking it was going to be bad again. It wasn't as bad, but it did get worse on some of the islands of Hong Kong when protesters were confronted with authorities and told to disperse for congregating. So that's all happening. And you have people that, the Hong Kong people are really feeling like they're fighting tyranny. And they do not seem to be separatists at all. They don't seem to have this sinister agenda. They just want things to go back to how they were. They just want the freedoms that they were guaranteed to be in an independent state until whenever that was supposed to be, 2033, I think. The 50-year the 50-year agreement that they had with China. Next, the NBA oddly got involved. The GM of the Houston Rockets basically just showed some support for Hong Kong and made a tweet about it. And it immediately shit hit the fan. Immediately, China, they're not going to be showing the preseason for the NBA. Next, we had this Joe Tassi, who came out in response to the Houston Rockets GM, making these original comments and putting out his own letter on Facebook, which you can see here. It's still there. And who is he? He is I don't know which team he runs or doesn't run or what part of the NBA he is or isn't. I don't know. I don't follow NBA. But what's interesting about the languaging in this is it looks like a copy-paste from mainland China, calling the Hong Kong rioters separatists, which they're not. This isn't separatism. This is people fighting for democracy. And the reason why a lot of people in America don't get it, and they're just thinking, oh gosh, maybe these people are overreacting, is because we don't really know what China's doing. We don't really know what's going on over there. Don't you think people who have all fled China or been living so close to China have a really good idea of how they are? So do you think they're overreacting, right? Like we always come up with these excuses, like Yellow Vest movement, 48 weeks. No, it's just the French, they protest everything. Maybe not. No mainstream media coverage, no U.S. coverage on that. The Hong Kong riots are getting, and protests are getting a fair bit of coverage in U.S. networks, but it's the same thing. We don't actually know. So I don't like to make assumptions there. So yeah, the NBA preseason games as backlash will not be shown. But then it got even more interesting. Then South Park made an episode making fun of China's censorship. South Park is now banned completely from China. Not showing anymore. Then it gets even more interesting. There's a gamer through Blizzard Activision, right, which is a lot of games. And somebody asked him or something. This is he's a grandmaster. Like, this is a chess game, right? So this isn't even like a violent shoot 'em up game. He plays chess online, and he holds like all these records and stuff. One of the best. And he made some comment about liberate Hong Kong in passing. Blizzard immediately rescinds all of his prize money, suspends him, and for 1 year, and completely just loses their mind. And then that started this hashtag Blizzard boycott, which what's interesting about this is very shortly after, like the next day, Blizzard actually disabled all 4 methods of being able to delete your account. You could cancel, okay, but you cannot actually now delete your account. And I don't know if this is still going on, but there's been several video game news YouTubers report on this. This was true. This actually happened. They disabled all means for you to delete your account. Now, that strikes me as fear. And it also strikes me as there's a lot of people that were deleting their account. So that happened. So let's check out what's happened since the fallout, because there's been more. Okay, first thing, we've got about 3 videos like this, 1.92 million views, several others, where people just simply holding up signs, free Hong Kong, signs confiscated, kicked out, or both. It's happening now all over. So here's the other one. People are getting their signs taken away, getting kicked out of NBA basketball games. So these are different games in different states, people getting kicked out. So the NBA as a whole has said no. What I see out of that is I see China's hand giving a lot of money to the NBA. And I think as time goes on, we'll probably find out more details about just how much. Houston Rockets, they get further chastised. Houston Rockets merchandise disappears from Chinese Nike stores. Which isn't, look at, here it is right here. Okay, the Nike slogan at one point was, will you believe in something even if it costs you everything? You see the double standard, the hypocrisy? It's everywhere. It continues everywhere. Believe in something even if it costs you everything. That's exactly what they just did. And they're not getting any support. Houston Rockets GM believed in something, posted about it, shared his feelings, which obviously nobody knew it was like this. I think most Americans now are kind of waking up to the fact that, why are people freaking out about China? What is all this China crap going on? The UN was trying to talk about this, and people weren't really understanding what's going on. Journalists got shut down. I'm sure you saw this video, 3.6 million views. They basically, tried to take the mic away. They said, hey, we're not going to answer, and the basketball players just sat there staring at her awkwardly. The players aren't going to answer. We're not going to answer. We don't need to answer that. Wait for it. Look at her reaction. Yep, there it is. Boom. Look at these two just sitting there. Yeah. So here's what I've noticed. I think I'm starting to get a pretty decent pulse on China. I've read quite a bit about it now. They seem to believe that they've been prosecuted the most. They think that in the past they have suffered the most, far more than any other gender, race, geolocation on the planet. And they perpetuate this in the country while keeping the country closed off and protected, and not a lot coming in and out. Okay, because we have Google that's gotten busted for trying to make a private search engine just for communist China, right, under a code name I can't remember for the life of me, but you can look it up. Project Veritas covered quite a bit of this, and it's been, this isn't like a brand new thing. This has been talked about over this last year especially. So we see all this coming out, and now we've got, this is the icing on the cake. I think people are going to start to realize finally what's going on here with this country, and that maybe we should be taking this a little bit more serious than we thought. Maybe we can't avoid this. Maybe we should be, like I said, involved in some sort of way. Because the Hong Kong protests, all those people want, like I said, is democracy. And all these people that are being held in these camps, it gets you to really kind of question what's going on here. And now we see anybody and everybody that's coming out saying something getting burned, getting absolutely burned. So they're really emotional about it. And so this contradicts a lot of what you think and hear about China, doesn't it? Because there's a lot of propaganda that goes around, oh, China's so calm, they're so patient. And they are in some ways, but not in others. When it comes to state secrets and keeping the door closed, they're like a little kid. When somebody does something, they strike. And they try and shut it down, and they try and forcefully shut it down. That's not patience. That's not wisdom. That's irrational behavior. And I think this is going to end up blowing up in their face, to be honest with you, because I think it's going to keep happening. And they're going to, right now they're blaming Britain and the U.S. for this anti-China sentiment, which it's not. It's themselves doing it. So they're blaming other people while trying to play the victim and going after anybody and everybody who brings it up in any sort of way to try and shut down the conversation. Again, like I said, what we've seen now over the last week is that they're willing to go pretty far to do this. So it'll be interesting to see where the boundaries are with this and how far they actually get pushed to keep doing this, and how absurd and clearly obvious it continues to show itself to the American people and then how they feel about it. Because I don't think they're going to be supporting them the same way as this continues to go on. This is just the start. It's not going to just brush itself under the rug and disappear. It's going to keep going. Okay, so I wanted to give a quick update. So some more has happened. It's been 2 days. Some more has happened since I shot the bulk of this video. So first one, we got Zedd. I just got permanently banned from China because he liked a South Park tweet. Zedd is the famous DJ. Tours all over the world. Pretty big deal, I'd say. 8.1 million followers. We've had Blizzard / Activision come out with their own statement, which I'll get to in just a second. But as you can see from the comments, not really a lot of support. Not really a whole lot of people standing with them. And in fact, they've got a Gamers for Freedom petition and protest coming up now. And you can donate money to it. And as well as they've got like this rolling list of who might censor you, gaming companies who might censor you, and those who've come out and said irrefutably they won't. And so there's only literally 2 on the list. But cool website, and I like the fact that they've taken the initiative and they're going to now plan something around that. And then here's the actual statement, which it doesn't make much sense, because let's read this together. At Blizzard, our vision is to bring the world together through epic entertainment, and we have core values that apply here. Think globally, lead responsibly, and importantly, every voice matters, encouraging everybody to share their point of view. So are these like hashtag movements that I don't know about? Lead responsibly, think globally? Because why is everything capitalized? And they sound like a thing, like a hashtag movement. Every voice matters. If that was the case, then wouldn't it be okay that this person happened to share their view? They're saying it's not. Our esports programs are an expression of our vision and our values. Esports exists to create opportunities for players around the world from different cultures and different backgrounds to come together to compete and share their passion for gaming. It is extremely important to us to protect these channels and purpose they serve, to bring the world together through epic entertainment, celebrate our players, and build diverse and inclusive communities. But you did none of that through banning this guy for a year and stripping away all of his money and all of his accolades. So you are saying you support something, and then you do the exact opposite. I mean, how are these words? Am I misunderstanding what these words mean? Diverse, inclusive communities that have diverse and ranging opinions, correct? I mean, this isn't just like one guy. Wasn't it a quarter of Hong Kong protested on the very first day? Over 1 million people? I'm pretty sure that's like a big community, right? Like 1 million users on Activision, Blizzard. If they were to just walk away today, that would be a big deal, wouldn't it? So we're not talking about like one guy. We're talking about a whole bunch of people that don't like this shit. I think that like we're at a tipping point in how serious you should take it, and that fits within the rules of what they're saying they support. Anyway, what was the other thing that they said? The specific views expressed by Blitz Chung were not a factor in the decision we made. This was the actual player, okay? I want to be clear. Our relationships in China had no influence on our decision. which is just wrong. I mean, that's just a blatant lie because facts prove otherwise. Anyway, so we had him, and then some other interesting things I came across. We have a Marriott employee say that he was fired for wrongfully liking a Twitter post by a group that supports independence for Tibet in its latest effort to calm storm. I want to read where this. Oh, here it is, right here. Okay. Because this is a lesser known piece of the pie here with China that a lot of people don't really talk about, which is the Tibetan piece. China Uncensored, I can't say it enough. That YouTube channel is phenomenal. Go give him a follow. He does amazing work. Independence for Tibet. The latest to calm storm criticism sparked by the company's survey that referred to the Chinese region and self-ruled Taiwan as country's Chinese state media reported. There was also this too weird thing going on. So talking about Taiwan, let me just jump here and show you this. This was weird. So this movie, Abominable, the animated movie produced by DreamWorks and Shanghai-based Pearl Studio, has been pulled from theaters in Vietnam after viewers noticed a map apparently depicting China's 9-dash line in the East China Sea. So nobody wants to believe me. There's so many comments that say, "Oh, Jay, you're full of crap with this East China Sea thing." They're not trying to take it back. They're not provoking Taiwan. Oh, yes, they are. Ships in the sea. Oh, yes, they are. Firing, missiles and testing missiles close range. Oh, yes, they are. Putting subtle hints from a Chinese-based company in a movie, poking fun at another country. Like, yuck, man. Incredibly poor taste. And they've proven that they're like super sensitive to any of this. But let's go through a whole list of others. So we've got the Activision Blizzard. Apple censors Taiwan flag emoji in iOS in Hong Kong. I posted about that in a Discord. Apple partial entry censored Hong Kong protest map from Apple Store. Relented after it turned into a PR mess, now letting the app into the App Store. Vans censored pro Hong Kong democracy design in its shoe design competition. That's interesting. NBA, obviously we've been tracking everything with the NBA. Here's Disney ESPN forbids any mention of Chinese politics when discussing Rocket manager's pro Hong Kong tweet. ESPN hosts chastised. What? Castigated. Castigated. I don't even know what that means. Maury and speculated about his sincerity, but they will not talk about what caused the tweet. China's encroachment on Hong Kong. Viacom Paramount censors Taiwan flag from the jacket worn by Tom Cruise in a new Top Gun movie. Wow, that's curious. And there's a ton of these. Disney Marvel censored Tibetan monk from Doctor Strange. So, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, when a Tibetan monk who you've never ever heard about them going to war, you've never ever heard them saying a bad thing about a single person in the entirety of their existence, I want to say. They're thought to be one of the purest people on the planet. And they're getting censored for just being a monk. That's curious. If you acknowledge that Tibet is a place and that he's Tibetan, you risk alienating 1 billion people who think that that's bullshit. Oh, turned him into a white woman per the movie screenwriter. If you acknowledge that Tibet is a place and that he's Tibetan, you risk alienating 1 billion people who think that that's bullshit. So is he trying to say that the whole country of China thinks that Tibet is not a country? Anyway, here's some more. Marriott, Nike, yeah, they removed all the Houston Rockets apparel in the Chinese web store. Cut live stream when American University team held up pro Hong Kong sign. Handed over iCloud data and encryption keys to China. Riot Games censors the words Hong Kong. Cathay Pacific, that's the airline, fired employees for FB posts supporting Hong Kong protests. Google censored pro Hong Kong game, the revolution of our times. Mercedes apologized for hurting the feelings of the people of China for quoting Dalai Lama on Instagram. So now we have to apologize for the fucking Dalai Lama to China. You see the absurdity going on here? And as I told you in the rest of this video, the more that they push, the worse this will get. So the more that they try to push for censorship, it'll get worse and worse and worse. And all they're doing is just proving a laundry list of businesses that you probably shouldn't do business with. Because if they're going to support that sort of behavior, then, I mean, personally, I wouldn't support them with my money, especially the stuff against Tibet. You might be skewed and down the middle on Hong Kong. Maybe you're not informed. Maybe you don't agree with what's going on there. But, looking at Tibet, I mean, they've had millions of people go missing. China's tried to take them over many, many times now. The Falun Gong is another topic that could be discussed at length, but I won't. Anyways, there's a whole laundry list of other censorship that's going on. We covered this one. Here's another one where security guards outside of the NBA headquarters asked him to leave. But there you go. That's it, guys. So like the video, subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Hit the bell notification so that you can get notified when we upload more videos. Comment below if you got something to say. And that's it. See ya.